And I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake, and they cannot let that happen any longer. You're doing it because you want to be nice, you want to be politically correct, and you're destroying your heritage. They must take control strongly and immediately of the unmitigated immigration disaster and the fake energy catastrophe before it's too late. It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
Picture the Grand Hall of the United Nations in New York City. The ceiling arches high above, banners of nations stand tall, and the green marble podium waits at the center. Diplomats shuffle papers, interpreters adjust their earpieces, and a heavy anticipation fills the air. It is the 80th anniversary of the United Nations General Assembly, a milestone, a stage where history has been written time and again. The U.S. president stepped to the podium as the teleprompter went dark. Declaring he would speak from the heart, he delivered a bold, unfiltered address that drew both applause and criticism. Some shifted uneasily, others leaned in, but no one could ignore the moment of high drama that still echoes today. Setting the stage, the 85th General Assembly. The 81st session of the United Nations. General Assembly was always destined to be symbolic. 8 decades had passed since the founding of the UN, born in the aftermath of the Second World War, as a safeguard against another global catastrophe. Leaders gathered not only to celebrate its history, but to reflect on its relevance in a world still plagued by wars, rivalries, and crises. On September 23rd, delegates representing nearly every country took their places under the dome. The energy was different this year. The pandemic years had left scars, new wars had erupted, and great power competition was reshaping alliances. All eyes turned toward the United States, still the most influential voice in the institution. President Trump's entrance hinted at the theater. Flanked by aides, he moved with his familiar confidence. Cameras flashed, pens hovered above notepads, and a hush descended as he took the podium. When the teleprompter failed, he turned it into a moment of levity, joking that someone was in big trouble. Laughter rippled through the hall, but only briefly. That quip gave way to one of the sharpest, most candid addresses of his presidency. It was a speech that questioned the very institution hosting him, challenged allies, and positioned the United States both as a critic and a leader. In doing so, Trump reminded the world that UN speeches are never mere formality. They are performances that can shift conversations on a global scale. Questioning the UN's purpose. It did not take long for President Trump to turn his focus toward the organization itself. "It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them," he said, referring to peace agreements brokered by his administration in various regions. His follow-up cut directly to the core. What is the purpose of the United Nations? The question reverberated in the hall. Diplomats exchanged glances, aware that this was not a rhetorical flourish but a serious critique. Trump argued that the UN had faltered in its mission to resolve conflicts and uphold stability, pointing to American-brokered deals in Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Africa's Great Lakes region as evidence that Washington, not the UN, was driving progress. Yet the message was layered. In a later private meeting with Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Trump softened his tone, remarking, "Our country is behind the United Nations 100%. He praised its potential to foster peace while also insisting on reform. It was a dual approach, public skepticism paired with private acknowledgement. For supporters, this struck a balance between tough love and loyalty. For critics, it underscored a long-standing tension between nationalism and multilateralism. Either way, Trump ensured that his remarks placed the UN's credibility squarely in the global spotlight. Sharp words for Europe and the debate over energy. From there, the focus shifted westward, toward Europe. America's oldest set of allies, and at times its most frequent partners in disagreement. Trump's critique was blunt. He denounced what he called the failed experiment of open borders, warning leaders that your countries are going to hell. The phrasing was stark, drawing gasps and a murmur across the chamber. He contrasted Europe's migration approach with his own administration's stricter enforcement policies, boasting that once the U.S. began detaining and deporting illegal entrants, they simply stopped coming. The message was clear. Strong borders, in his view, protected sovereignty, stability, and identity. Energy policy proved another flashpoint. Trump blasted Europe for soaring energy prices, pointing to what he described as the risks of relying too heavily on renewable sources. At the same time, he extended an offer. We stand ready to provide any country with abundant, affordable energy supplies if you need them, and most of you do. He even praised clean, beautiful coal, drawing both applause and raised eyebrows. Seated nearby, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen later acknowledged the challenge. She reiterated Europe's goal of cutting its dependence on Russian energy before 2027. President Trump is absolutely right, she conceded, though she admitted uniting 28 nations behind that vision would not be simple. Trump's words laid bare a transatlantic divide, the United States promoting energy independence through fossil fuels, while Europe pushed forward with a green transition. The clash was more than policy. It reflected differing visions of the future: Ukraine, Russia, and the long war. Few issues carried as much urgency as the war in Ukraine, and Trump devoted significant attention to it. After meeting privately with President Volodymyr Zelensky, he posted on social media that Ukraine could win back all of its territory in its original form, with Europe's support. Why not? He asked from the podium. Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is making them look like paper tigers. The remark drew sharp reactions. Trump appeared both to downplay Russia's military prowess and to encourage European resolve. He urged NATO allies to defend their skies more aggressively, even suggesting they should shoot down Russian aircraft intruding on their airspace. French President Emmanuel Macron, described by Trump as a longtime friend, echoed his view that Ukraine must reclaim its land. For Zelensky, the backing from Washington was significant, though he reiterated firmly that Ukraine would not cede territory. This portion of the speech highlighted an ongoing challenge: the balance between supporting Ukraine's fight for sovereignty and preventing escalation into a broader confrontation with Moscow. Trump's words added fuel to both the determination of Kyiv's allies and the anxieties of those wary of widening the conflict. Middle East diplomacy and the Gaza crisis. Beyond Europe, Trump turned to the Middle East, calling it the heart of his diplomatic agenda. He emphasized what he described as his most important meeting, a gathering with leaders from Qatar, Jordan, Turkey, Pakistan, Egypt, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Indonesia. Noticeably absent were representatives of Israel and the Palestinian Authority, a detail that underscored the complex fractures in regional politics. "We want to end the war in Gaza. We're going to end it," Trump declared, pledging that peace was not only possible but necessary. He spoke of life in the region as much more beautiful without wars, framing conflict as an unnatural state that leaders had a responsibility to end. His address also criticized recent moves by some Western allies to recognize a Palestinian state. Trump warned such recognition risked emboldening Hamas. Instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now. The call drew applause from parts of the hall, resonating especially with those who saw hostage-taking as a central obstacle to peace. By drawing a line between legitimate aspirations for statehood and the dangers of rewarding violence, Trump aimed to project a pragmatic stance. His remarks reflected both urgency and caution, acknowledging the human toll of war while resisting measures he argued could deepen instability. Global security and the threat of weapons. Trump then pivoted to global security, focusing on threats that transcend national borders. His words carried both gravity and warning. "I look at weapons that are so powerful that we just can't ever use them." The reference to nuclear and biological arms reminded the Assembly of the existential risks facing humanity. He pledged to lead an international effort to curb the development of such weapons, coupling that with a proposal to employ artificial intelligence as a tool for compliance verification. This fusion of technology and security underscored the dual-edged role of innovation in both solving and exacerbating global risks. In addition, Trump issued a stark warning to transnational drug cartels. "To every terrorist thug smuggling poisonous drugs into the United States of America, please be warned that we will blow you out of existence." He cited recent strikes against boats near Venezuela as proof of America's readiness to act decisively. By linking weapons of mass destruction, terrorism, and narcotics under one umbrella of global threats, Trump painted a picture of a world where dangers are interconnected and where collective vigilance is essential. His message was both a warning to adversaries and a call for international cooperation. Freedom of speech, faith, and America's golden age. Trump's speech then turned to values, principles he urged the international community to uphold. "Defend free speech and free expression," he said, reminding leaders that liberty is the cornerstone of progress. He declared religious liberty a priority, adding, "Christianity is the most persecuted religion on the planet." The claim drew attention across religious communities, sparking debate but also highlighting the importance of faith freedoms. On the domestic front, Trump presented an image of American strength. He claimed inflation had been defeated, the stock market was rising, and grocery prices were lower than when he took office. "This is the golden age of America," he proclaimed, painting a picture of resilience and prosperity. Though official data reflected a more complex reality, the message was clear. America was strong, and its strength set an example for the world. For Trump, values, prosperity, and faith formed a triad, not just for domestic politics, but for global leadership. Personal notes and memorable asides. Amid the heavy themes, Trump added unexpected personal notes. He recalled bidding years earlier to renovate the UN building for $500 million, saying his plan would have been cheaper and better than the final project. The anecdote drew chuckles and highlighted his flair for showmanship. He joked about once being stuck on the UN's escalators, quipping, "They still haven't finished the job." The hall reacted with laughter before he shifted back to weightier matters. These lighter moments, combined with the unscripted teleprompter mishap, gave the day a unique character. Part charm, part unpredictability, ensuring the speech was as much about personality as policy. Share your thoughts in the comments, and your perspective matters in shaping the conversation. And if you found this video insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. The dialogue on leadership, alliances, and the future of world politics is only beginning. Your voice is part of that story.